Right.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here this evening. We're going to get started in just a few minutes. If you want to find your seats, we'll get you queued up and we want to value your time. So thank you.
Okay. Welcome. Glad to see everybody. I see the crowd's getting smaller. Hopefully that means that people are getting the help they need. If you hear otherwise, send them my way, because we do have good things coming. Things are starting to move finally. We're feeling good about that. So if you don't mind, can we just open with a word of prayer, if you don't mind? Lord, I just invite you to come into this meeting to help us, to help those, Lord, who've been devastated by these fires, who are finding themselves in situations, God, they never even imagined. And we just pray you'll guide us tonight and help us in all our conversations, and folks can get the help they need. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. So I'm just going to give a couple quick things that I'm going to talk about, and then Sonny Weathers, our city administrator, he'll take it from here. And if you come up to speak, you're one of the speakers, there's the little white card there that you can stand on so that you're on the screen also. So you'll see on the table, there's some resources out on the table in the foyer out there. There's a resource directory that is from, I always forget, Fig Tree. It was Fig something, Fig Tree. And so that there's a lot of resources in there. You can take one of those guys with you. Those are being offered free here tonight. There's also some information from Spokane Realtors. There are some from their Relief Foundation. They have some disaster relief assistance, and so those forms will also be out on the table. I'll put those out there. Take that with you as you go. One of the important things I wanted to express tonight, Chandra, when she comes up, she's the emergency with the emergency team in Spokane County. We have an intake form, and you've been hearing about these intake forms. It's been on the county website. Others have asked you to fill out forms like the Red Cross and all of this. But where we're at today, I was in meetings with the state emergency response team, and they're we're still missing information about who is not insured. And in addition to that, we need to know who is insured or who maybe is underinsured. And with the increase that we've had in real estate prices going up and all of the changes that we've had drastically in just the last few years, almost everybody's falling under the underinsured. What does that mean? So right now, I just heard from the governor today that they have released another $1 million that we can use for debris removal. So now that gives us $2.25 million. So we'll find out soon how that's going to be managed and allocated, but it's going to happen fairly quickly. But first we're looking for non-insured, and then there's underinsured. And if you're insured, we still want you to fill this out because you may fall into the underinsured. Keep all your receipts of everything that you are expending money on and related to the fire. Keep those, because we have set up a long-term recovery team. And we'll talk to you more about that next week. We're going to bring those folks that are on that board in, tell you how it's going to work, that we'll be setting up committees to roll out more work. But mostly we need everybody, if you would please, take this form, fill it out before you leave tonight. You'll leave it here and then you're done and we can contact you. There's going to be case workers that have been contracted through the county, through the Salvation Army, and everybody has a case right now. What are your most emergent needs? What are your long-term needs? And we're trying to quantify and qualify all of those things. So I have those forms with me tonight. They'll soon be on our website within the next day or two. They are on Spokane County's website. You just go to the Eastern Washington response. This assistance intake form is on there and you can fill it out digitally. So I guess that's really, there's a lot more to talk about, but I know we're here tonight to talk about permits and all things rebuilding. But next week, we're going to be talking about setting up committees. So those volunteer groups, but also that long-term recovery group and how that can help everybody in this room and all those who have been coming. So hopefully we'll get a bigger crowd next week. I have those forms and they'll be here. And I do have a volunteer form. If you were not someone who was impacted by the fire, but you're a helper, come and see me. So thank you, Sunny. I'll let you take it.
Thanks, Mayor Cooper. Good evening, everybody, again, and thank you for being here. For those who are here in person, welcome, and those who are joining us online, welcome to you also. And we just want to say a hearty thank you to the Medical Lake School District for the use of this space. Tonight, we're going to learn about the building permit process and the requirements that come along with that. And we are grateful to have representatives from the city of Medical Lake to talk about the process. If you're inside the city limits, we also have members from the Spokane County Building and Planning to tell you about processes specific to those who live inside the unincorporated county. And we also have our friends from Spokane Home Builders Association here. So there's some contractors that can help you understand how the process goes with contractors as well. They're all happy to field your questions after they've had a chance to brief you. And we're recording this meeting as well. So there'll be a YouTube link available as soon as we have that. We'll post it on our website for your reference. For those of you that are online, if you have questions, please type them in the chat. We may not be able to get to them directly during this evening, but we will make sure that we get those questions to the experts who can answer them, and we'll provide a document with those answers for you as well. For those of you that have questions that are here in person, at the end, we do have a microphone. So at the end of the briefings, those questions, we'll try to give you a chance to ask those questions. We do ask you to speak into the microphone so those online can benefit from understanding what your question is. And then we'll try our best to address those questions. The panel is also going to remain afterwards. So if you have specific needs, they're happy to address those specific needs with you as well. Essentially, this evening's meeting is meant to address very general knowledge and provide you with contact information to better address your unique and specific needs. Everybody has those, and so we're not we can't address all of those from the big general conversation, but our goal is to give you some really great general information and then contact information so you can talk to the experts and get the specific answers that you need. Again, we're planning to hold these weekly community meetings until there is no remaining need to do so. So this evening's subject is on building permitting process and requirements. We're planning next week to address the long-term recovery group to educate you on the benefits that come from that, how you can interface with them effectively, and how that's going to handle all the needs moving forward. We're also continuing to plan and organize a meeting on the subject of financing options and insurance claims to help get you information to navigate that process. At this time, I want to invite up Tawny from the Medical Lake School District Wellness Center, and she can share a little bit about how they're offering services and how you can best connect with them.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. I just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Tawny Barlow, and I am the Director of Student Services for the Medical Lake School District. I get to oversee the Wellness Center and the activities that we have for the community. I left several of the pamphlets out on one of the tables about the services that we offer. But in a time like this, we do offer family counseling. We offer individual counseling. We offer groups. And then we've had a lot of services for people. Just where they can access services and also supplies. So we're working closely with the city and how we're storing some of our supplies as well. The way to access services, I think on here is a QR code. Anybody familiar with the QR codes? Yes, some of you. You can also email. There's an email on here that you could access, or you could just come in. We're open Monday through Thursday, typically for parents to come in. Friday, we have like a staff training day, and we have free coffee, Wi-Fi, computers, people to access resources. We have social workers there that get people to access the resources. We work we're utilizing the Fig Trees resources, and we're just continuing to collect all the resources as people bring them in, and then work with the city as well. So we're coordinating our efforts. We're real thankful for the Redemption Church that has offered us space to keep supplies for staff and students and families. We've been kind of coordinating our services with the different people that have donated. So we're really not been a part of that donation intake, but more like a conduit and to be able to hub all the information and get it out to people. So trying to think if there's any other services.
Mobile, Chaz Mobile.
Oh yeah, Chaz Mobile, thank you. I should have just gone through my pamphlet. The other pieces that we have available are, we have a multi-care clinic that's here in Medical Lake, but we wanted to be able to offer medical services for everyone. So with the multi-care, they provide services for some people, but for Chaz, it really eliminates lots of barriers. And so they can provide the other half for people to be able to access medical services. So they are here on the 2nd and 4th Wednesday, and they're here from 2 to 7. And so you can have free medical services, regardless of whether you're insured, not insured. They do sliding scale, and it's primary care doctors and nursing staff that are here every 2nd and 4th Wednesday. So if you know of families or you are in need yourself, it's really great that we have those medical services here. So medical, mental health, and then you're going to just see us doing lots of events. On September 29th is National Coffee Day. Did you know that? And so we're going to have coffee. Some of our social worker interns have plants, so Plants for Positivity. They're also doing a stuffed animal donation, because with the schools, we have students that have lost their pets. And so we're just trying to create areas of support for students. And so you're welcome to come have some coffee, pick up a plant, donate a stuffed animal, but learn more about those resources that we have available for people. So again, we have social workers on site, we have mental health on site, and then we'll be offering the medical care. We're continuing to have those resources.
It's the whole community.
For the whole community. Thank you for reminding me that. It's not just for school, the school community. It really is. We see the wellness as to support our entire community because we're all connected to one another. And so it's for any members in the Medical Lake community. So that's free mental health, and regardless of insurance. So there is no insurance bill. It's a free mental health for anyone in the Medical Lake community, families, staff, students, anybody that's here. Okay, and so all of the resources are here. There's phone numbers, and then there's a QR code to access them, or just stop by. We'd love to see you.
Thanks, Tony. And for those who aren't aware, the Wellness Center is located just across the street on Broad Street. It's 317 North Broad Street is the address, and it's just right across the street there. Yeah. At this time, I'm going to invite up Chandra to give an update from Spokane County Emergency Management.
Good evening, everybody. So as Mayor Terry spoke to, we are continuing to collect the insurance information for folks. And the insurance information really is key because that's part of the data that drives everything else. And so we're really interested in knowing everybody's insurance status. The other piece of the intake form is once we get our disaster case managers in place through Salvation Army, they will be using the database that we've created from all of the intake forms, and that's how you will be connected to a disaster case manager. And as I said, we're going to be utilizing Salvation Army for the case management, and we are requiring them to make a 2-year commitment to this process. So you will have your case manager for a minimum of 2 years, which is really great, because this is going to be a long haul process for folks. It's not going to be quick. And what the purpose of the case manager is they work with you to create your own recovery plan that is specific to you and your family and your unique needs. And they will help you parse through all of the different streams of resources that will be coming in. And we'll be talking about that a lot next week with the long-term recovery group. But in order to be able to connect you to those resources, we need to know who you are and we need to be able to find you. So that's why we keep harping on you about the intake form, making sure that you have registered into the system so that we can find you and begin to connect you to those resources. Some of those resources, the county is working right now, contracting with 2 abatement contractors to come out and start doing asbestos testing for the uninsured folks. And then as part of the contract, we're asking them to access expedited testing. So we have 2 local labs. I think they're backlogged to about 3 weeks now in terms of their testing process. But the certified abatement contractors have the ability to overnight samples to other certified labs around the country. And so that's part of what we're asking them to do under our contract, is to make sure they're expediting the testing so that you get your information back more quickly. So that's one piece of the 1.25 million that we got originally from the governor's emergency fund. And then that's coming out of that. The disaster case management is coming out of that as well. The county will hold the original contract on that. And then as the long-term recovery group gets stood up, we'll be transferring management of the contract to the long-term recovery group. And I think that's all my updates tonight. We'll talk a lot more next week, more specifically about what types of resources the LTRG is able to connect you with, but that's the teaser for next week. Thank you.
All right, and I would just encourage, I'm sure that you've heard it enough, but the Spokane County Emergency Management website and Facebook page is a great resource. As information is updated, it's always available there. So it's a great place to keep in touch with. All right, so again, that takes care of our information and resource update for this evening. Now I'm going to turn it over to the city planner from City of Medical Lake, who will share with you what we've been getting questions from a lot of folks. And so we feel like it's really the right time to start addressing those regular questions and then help guide and navigate that process through getting permits so that the rebuilding effort can start. So this is Elisa Rodriguez, city planner from Medical Lake.
Thank you very much. So I'm a city planner and I'm subbing for Dave Weisbeck, our building inspector, who cannot be here tonight. So I will try my best to provide information and answer any questions you have. But he is available at City Hall at 509-565-5000. You can also just Google City Hall, that's our main number, and they will get you to him. However, he is out of the office until Tuesday, so hold those questions until Tuesday, please. So the City of Medical Lake, we only will do the building permits for those properties within the City of Medical Lake. And just because your address is Medical Lake doesn't mean you're actually in the city of. So what is in the city, we had 54 homes lost. It's in the Silver Hills subdivisions, both phases, and the Lakeshore subdivision, and 2 houses on Prentice Street. Lakeshore is not actually at the lake, so if you are on Silver Lake, you are not in the city of Medical Lake, and Spokane County is gonna help you with your building permits. If you're not sure whether you're in the city or not, I have a map and a list of those addresses, so you can chat with me afterwards and we can verify where you're at, or contact the city later. Out in the lobby, I have 3 handouts. One is specifically for the Railroad Fire Resource Recovery for getting building permits and information related. One is the information you'll need for building a single family house. And the third is some folks have just lost their outbuildings, your shed garages, shed shops, those sort of things. So there's another sheet on there for those types of buildings, but only in the city of Medical Lake. So I'm gonna just keep emphasizing that because we always have people coming in asking for information. And our first question is, are you in the city? So for those houses that were completely destroyed, those 54 houses in the city limits, all your utilities have been turned off. So water, sewer, electricity, gas, all those have been turned off and capped. So when you're ready to rebuild, your contractor will know what to do to get those back on, but right now they're turned off. The city is not requiring a demolition permit, so you can do the work after your asbestos test, of course. You just need to call the 811 for the utilities locate, and then we, the city, get notified of that location request, so we know that you're ready to go in and do that demolition. So make sure you call 811 before you do any digging in the ground, basically. Like you can do things above ground, but as soon as you're ready to dig, make sure you do that locate. Related to that, it's highly unlikely that any existing foundations will be able to be reused because the fire will have damaged the rebar in the foundation. So if you think you want to or can, you would have to get an engineer certification. They'd have to come look at that and verify that it's okay. And then we would be okay with that. But you need the check on your foundation. So when you're ready to do permits, we do everything on paper. We can provide those in person. We can email the application to you, but you'll have to fill it out and bring it down on paper, your plans and your site plan. And we're happy to help with any of that, especially site plans. If you're in the city, we're gonna have the original site plans for your properties for almost everyone. So we can get that for you to help you prepare your building permit. And we do have a handful of original building plans if anyone's wanting to rebuild the same house. So Dave, the building inspector, is confident that he can turn around the building permits in just 2 weeks. So it's just he and I in the office, but he's confident that we can do that. So there's no payment up front. We don't do a plan check fee. We just do all payment when you're ready to pick up your permits. There's no impact fees or system development charges with these permits because you've already paid those with your original house. So just to give you an idea, a 1,500 square foot house is going to cost approximately $4,000 in a building permit for the city of Medical Lake. Now, some of you have already contacted us interested in placing a manufactured home on the site. For all those sites in the city, it is okay to do a manufactured home. Those manufactured homes will have to be 24 feet wide and put on a foundation, and you will have to get the proper permits from Labor and Industries, and then we have something like a placement permit also, and those run about $300. So just some other general items. A lot of our houses are near wetlands, but all those lots that, the houses have been destroyed, they're okay to rebuild. You don't need any kind of special review because those reviews happened when the subdivision was platted. Please, no shipping containers or RVs in the street. Those are gonna cause a safety hazard for not letting emergency services get through to properties if needed. So I've already had reports that there's a couple of shipping containers on Jim Darby, so we're gonna be asking those property owners to take those out of the street. Finally, there was word, or everyone was concerned about the building code and the energy code changing on October 29th. And talking about vesting your permits, you know, getting those applied for before then, so you could stay with the current code. And that has been delayed until March 15th of 2024. So you have an extra 6 months there. So the way it works is if you get your building permit applied for, which means you need a full set of plans. You can't just have a placeholder. You need a full set of plans, and then you're vested in the current code. So as long as you get that in before March 14th, you'll be good for vesting. I see a question back here. The question is it true only for the people in the city? And the code change applies for the whole state. So the code will change for everyone in the state on March 14th, or excuse me, 15th. And then as far as vesting, the person from Spokane County can explain if their process is the same. Okay. Any other questions at this time?
Use the microphone, please.
So the question is, can the city give any kind of discount on cost? And so for building permits, and the city is cutting costs in the sense that we're not doing any of the reconnect fees that we would normally do. So for all the water and sewer, we would normally charge for our people to come out there and re-hook up your water and sewer. So for instance, those will not be charged. We'll be doing that. But for the plan review for the building permit, that's gonna remain the same, but you're not gonna have all the, like if you're gonna build a new building in the city, it would be $23,000 for a building permit, like if you weren't replacing a house. So it's a significant difference. Any other questions?
You know how far back your plans, as far as what you have on file, how far back that goes?
We have site plans back to 1996, but the building plans, we just sort of have a random few from the two recent subdivisions, I think mostly the Silver Hills subdivision. Any other questions? Okay, I can go.
Thank you. Hopefully I pulled this in the right spot so you can all hear me. Thank you. I do want to say thank you to Mayor Cooper and the city of Medical Lake for hosting this so that we have a chance to share information, try to answer questions. I can tell you that from the county commissioners on down all through staff, absolutely committed to doing anything that we possibly can to help people recovering from this devastating wildfire. So, you know, the specifics that I'm going to speak to today, I'll just reintroduce myself. I'm Monty Chamberlain. I am the Director of Building and Code Enforcement for Spokane County. As was pointed out, that's anybody who's living outside of the city limits. And the first steps that have happened in the building planning side of the world is that we will expedite all of your permits. You are the top priority. Also for questions, same thing. You are going to be front of the line for all of that. Our staff is committed to a 5 to 7 day turnaround time for permits. So it's again our top priority, same with questions. And I was gonna say, I do have a handout which we'll have at the back. And on the back side of it is our contact information. Do you have a question?
Is it really, it's a 5 to 7 day turnaround for permits?
That's our commitment, yes. If you are recovering from the wildfire. So I wanted to point that part out.
And I am. That's amazing if that's the case, that's amazing, so thank you.
That's our commitment from staff. Again, you move to the front of the line, basically. We will expedite. The same with questions. If you call in and you have a question, you come in, you have a question, we'll get your answer. So that is our commitment. Obviously, there can be circumstances that can slow things down. There's other elements other than just building codes that come into play. On the back of the handout is our contact information. Our phone number 477-3675, our email address bphelp.org. I have handouts here and I gave a PDF to Sunny so that can be shared electronically. And there are a bunch of links on this document which are manually typed in. But the reason I point out the contact info is if you submit a permit online, all of our stuff is online. Call us to tell us that you are wildfire rebuilding, or send an email to BP Help, and we will now know to go to your permit first and take care of it. So that's what we're asking people to do, is to reach out to us. You can always come in and we can help you do the online, but all of our stuff starts online. More specifically, the county commissioners passed a resolution to reduce the demolition permit fee to $25. So this would come into effect if you are cleaning up the site, but you're not currently rebuilding, then you need a demolition permit per county code, but it will be $25. It does require the same asbestos testing as inside the city. If you're going to rebuild, the demolition is covered underneath that permit. You still would have to do the asbestos testing, but it would be on your building permit instead of having a separate demolition permit. Yes, sir.
Why is the asbestos permit, or asbestos clearing need?
That's required by Clean Air. That's not a county regulation.
It's not required by.
Okay, we can only link you to the resources. That's what we're being told, and I would be happy to follow up. That's a great question. Is where does that requirement come from? And we can follow up and make sure that we get what you need on that. Because that's not, I'm not speaking for Clean Air, I'm speaking for the county.
You mentioned that you were in constant communication with the district commissioner.
I go to commissioner meetings where they talk about what they're doing for across all of the aspects, including the wildfire, yes.
You're talking about the HERA test, right? That applies to schools.
I don't know about that, I'm sorry.
There you go.
So if you have specific questions, I'd be happy to follow up. You sound like you have important questions. I would like to get you some answers to that. Okay. If I could maybe just finish through my first notes here, then I'll take more questions here. You know, I don't do public speaking as a standard practice here. So just repeating the same information about the footings that the city had. When it comes to temporary housing, there is some options for that. There are some rules that can allow there to be temporary housing. There's conditions. Please call us if you have an idea of what you might want to do for temporary housing, and we will walk you through that. There's too many options to cover in a meeting like this, but it is allowable by county code to have temporary housing. You're not allowed to have a second permanent residence, but temporary while you're rebuilding or is allowed. On the files, if you are trying to find your site plan or building plans, same as the city, we do not have a whole bunch of prior building plans and construction plans. We have probably back a few years and hit and miss going back into the 18 and 19, but just feel free to ask. We will expedite your request. We will find if we have anything and we will get it to you as fast as we can. Those requests are also expedited. So just reach out to us and we'll put in search our files and see what we have to give back to you. I also can represent what the planning department is covering on their side of the world. And I have something I can read what they sent me today, just share for that. But in the meantime, there was a question. Yes.
Yes, the city is with the utilities like the electricity, the sewer and the water. Is that also gonna be?
The county doesn't have utilities out here. So we would not, most people have that are in the county on septic and, other water. So the county does not supply any utilities in this area.
Yeah. So if you're the city, then we need. About the job, yeah.
Yes. So that question was, if you're in the city, yes, you should address those questions and needs with the city staff. And they'll be available afterwards for any of those questions or concerns.
I see, I know the city's different than the county, but
Can you give her a microphone?
I know that the city is different than the county, you know that.
Me too.
So I know that the city's different than the county, I'm just wondering if this is something in common. Says the city has minimum building width of 24 feet and 800 square foot minimum for area of the ground floor living space. Does that apply to the county as well?
Their codes could be different than the county's codes, but our standard building codes apply. If you can call in and we get you an answer. If you have a specific question, I can have our codes people get back to you with what the answer would be for that example. But all current county building codes would apply to a new construction.
And then, if I guess I didn't see the form, the county form, I got a lot of city forms, but not the county form. Were they still up front or?
I apologize. They're by my seat. I will put them out here as soon as I'm done talking.
Sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. And my handout is mainly, it says that these are the questions that we were getting asked. So it's kind of a frequently asked questions list. It is not a comprehensive list of every question someone could have. It was just the top ones that we were being asked. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. There's someone in the back who raised her hand first. I apologize. Sunny's gonna say something.
My question was, like this, yeah. My question was, there was a lot of houses in the county, Spokane County, not Medical Lake City, that were on the lake and that had been there for 25, 35 years. Is there going to be a change in that sort of easement from the water distance?
I do have a statement here from the planning department, and I will read it to you. If it doesn't answer your question, you need to reach out to them directly. So I came with materials to share. That is the most up-to-date information that they have, and I will read that when I'm done here. I think there was a question over here. I got a good question. Right. Sorry, she was next. Sorry. First time.
I'll be there.
I want to know how much the building permit cost.
I'll answer that real quick. The demolition fee was changed to $25. The rest of the fee structure is currently the same. I can tell you this, the commissioners have looked into this. They're considering all options, but currently the fee structure is the same, and it's on our website, and I can share it with people if need be. I mean, as we're happy to share it with you.
It's roughly the same as the city of Medical Lake. Maybe a little less than that.
I did not come with a list of fees, but I'm happy to send it to folks after this meeting. I can do it tomorrow. I can send it to if we have contact info for anybody. You good?
Folks, it depends on your house size, it's a square footage of cost. So it depends, he's not gonna give you an answer, it's a square footage.
He said 1,500 square feet was roughly 4,000.
I don't wanna guess what ours is, but, if you call us, reach out, we will get you an estimate for what you want to build. So that's. Yeah, I believe the fee structures are probably similar, but I don't want to spread any misinformation. So just please reach out to us and we'll give you an estimate of the fees based on, again, square footage and other factors.
Is there any leeway on the actual shoreline? The 200-foot buffer, they didn't give me leeway on that?
Again, I'll read what planning department has produced for their current viewpoint, and if it doesn't answer your question, you can reach out to them directly. And they're representing buildings and what planning has given me to share. Well, I will say this, I am really happy that we're here to try to help. Sorry I don't have answers to all of your questions. I tell you, I will get answers to anybody who, I'll be outside and I'll take your contact info and I will follow up with you. That's my pledge. Okay, I'm gonna, so the director of planning is Scott Chesney. He met with his senior planning staff to discuss land use regulations for folks that are rebuilding. The basic concept, of course, is that if you're rebuilding in mainly the same footprint, mainly the same location, that's what this covers. You know, if you're trying to move the location, increase the size, that could change the answer. So I'm trying to read this without sounding like a robot. He does have a paragraph here about temporary housing, but I kind of covered that, so I'm going to skip over it. Here's the part. In most cases, structures constructed prior to 2013 are considered conforming to the critical areas ordinance, regardless of newer regulations that would now impact that structure. Structures lawfully constructed can be replaced to the same degree as the destroyed structure. Minor revisions may be allowed. Significant expansion will trigger current critical area review. So that's the paragraph that I have that addresses those kinds of concerns. And if you want more detail, please reach out to planning to get those specific cases by case basis. The other 2 points on here, garages and outbuildings on edges of parcels will be considered on a case by case basis. For example, if they are formally encroached into right of way. I didn't write this, just want to put that down. Fees remain as published unless the board changes that. Spokane County will ensure that the permissive interpretations noted above apply to all parcels affected in the burn areas. So that's the statement I have from planning, if you find it helpful. And I will be around for questions outside if you don't have more here. No, they're going to put together a brochure. They just gave me a quick summarization, but I'll ask them to put together a handout to put online. They did this today, by the way, in preparation for this meeting. They didn't want me to come with nothing.
Maybe at the next meeting, we could have somebody here that can speak to the many families that lost homes on the way. Because I think that's a whole different issue. And if you'd like to have somebody here that we can ask questions of.
Yes, absolutely. I will convey that message back to the director. I'm sorry, Mayor, did you want to say something?
I did, so the commitment that the city made, we're not thinking about the jurisdictional line. We are committed to every home that was destroyed in both fires, Oregon and Medical Lake. But our heart really is with those folks in the Gray Road fire. So the long-term recovery group, and you'll learn more about this next week. So please, everybody should come because we're going to be talking about how we're going to address mitigating the disaster, but also how can we help you in your specific needs. And so you can fill out, it'd be helpful if you fill out that form tonight before you leave. I'll remind you of that again. But we are addressing everybody's needs, and we're looking at those septics, where your house is going to be, future plans that might affect you. And so it will be important going forward that everybody come, and then we can also find out what your specific needs are so that we can get you your next steps. So that, you know, more to come next week. That is the whole focus of next week's meeting. And, if you have a specific need and you can't wait a week, we're not asking you to wait a week, contact us. We have that information on the handouts out there, email or we have a specific phone number for our medical aid emergency response team. So we'll do everything we can to get the answer that you're looking for.
I would just add to that, that the phone numbers that are on the handouts tonight as well are, you can call those numbers and get all those specific questions answered. The county is available, during their work hours to answer your needs. And like Monty was saying, they'll prioritize those questions and needs. So you don't have to wait for them to show up here. If you have questions, you can call them anytime and they would be happy to address those concerns for you. All right, well, so we've heard from the city and we've heard from the county and we've got some contractors here as well, but I imagine that most of those questions are gonna be very specific to your needs and they'll be able to address those right to as you bring them up. So at this point, I just want to say thank you again for coming. Thank you for paying attention and again, call the city 565-5000. The county is also here to assist you and happy to answer those phone calls and address those questions. And keep communicating your needs, please. Next week, we'll address those long-term recovery group, which really is the long-term solution that's going to help us get through this together. You're not alone. We're in it together and we're committed to seeing it through. So I'm going to give Spokane Home Builders a quick chance to share with you. You want to come up? Everyone loves standing on the stage.
Sorry, I just wanted to take a quick opportunity. Monty is working really, really hard. He's a little newer in his position, but not new to the county. He's been in the county for a long time and has a lot of knowledge, institutional knowledge. But he's going to find the answer to your questions if he doesn't know it right now. So don't get frustrated with him. He's working hard. And I can say I've been working with Spokane Home Builders for in one capacity or another for about 5 years, and never have I ever called the county after 5 o'clock and had someone answer the phone. But the other night I did with Monty. So he's even staying after hours, which to me speaks volumes. Spokane Home Builders is here to be a problem solver and consolidate information, help you. There are some builders here who can probably help answer questions also. Clyde Hasse is a developer who has worked in lots of different areas and has some connections to help probably facilitate answers for you. Brian Ofield is with Gordon Finch. They have built on the shoreline, so he knows that process and can help there. That he does custom homes as well as has home plans that you can choose from. Just a second. My brain just went totally blank. Ed is in the back with EJ Builders. Oh, right here. And Kyle, they do ICF homes, and ICF is fire resistant. They have also built on the shoreline and can answer some of those. And Copper River, Andy and Gabe and John are in the back and have floor plans that you can work with. So there's been talk about a library of plans, and at the county level, there are different builders who can submit floor plans that then you would be able to pick from, which would be expedited. However, if you're not wanting to have a cookie cutter, maybe I would say, plan, and you want to custom something, then there are builders who can work with you. The process is just a little longer if you're having something that's tailored specifically to you rather than something that's already been pre-approved. Yes.
So, everyone, this is great. I love this community. I'm a born and raised medical guy, but one thing I've seen over the last month is that there's been a lot of families that are still in the mourning stage. And what they don't realize is that if they don't get to work, get with a quality builder. And hopefully the rest of us that have done our jobs, you know, can help our community out, like. They need that help, they need that help, I've seen it, I've seen them just, you know. To this day, we're a month away and they're still crying. They're still crying, and they need help. So we're doing a great job of like figuring out how we're gonna move our lives forward. And again, coming from the guy that bought my house too. They need help, so like when we're in this situation, I just wanna know that we're not just thinking about ourselves. Like think about your neighbors as well. Make sure that they're taken care of. Because that is community's bounty. It's really important.
You know, that kind of also speaks to filling out the form, so even if you're well insured and all of that. This can help your neighbor, because this is helping us tell the story, this is gonna help us get funding for those folks that are in the greatest need. That are gonna need help the longest, but the long-term recovery started the day of the fire. So it's from that day forward, so, anyway, I agree with your statement, thank you.
I didn't lose my home and I don't live in this area, but I'm not unfamiliar to trauma. And I know that one of the hardest things when you're in trauma and you've had a loss is that the amount of information that comes at you, it's hard to process all of it. And everyone starts to sound like Charlie Brown's mom. It's like, everything you said did not compute. So Spokane Home Builders is here to help consolidate information. We're working with builders. So when you find a contractor or builder that you like, if they're not able to get the answers and they give me a call, I'm gonna move mountains for you. So you're not alone.
Okay, with that said, we'll close the meeting and again, there's some tables with some information. I'm gonna ask our experts to go stand by their tables, or if you wanna catch them on their way. But thank you for your time and attention this evening. I take it for you. Thank you very much. Well, I appreciate it.
There's